My name is Taylor, and today we'll be sharing with you how to create an effective presentation for adult learners using the adult learning theory coined by Malcolm Knowles. In this next slide, I wanted to share the definition of andragogy, which is simply put is adult education, specifically the art and science of adult learning, as opposed to pedagogy, which is child education. When Malcolm Knowles was studying adult learning, he included in his theory 5 assumptions about adult learners that can be acknowledged and used to improve upon professional development, which we will be discussing in the next slide. The 5 assumptions of adult learning that Malcolm came up with are self-concept. Second is experience, meaning learning is based off of past experiences. Third is readiness to learn. Fourth is orientation to learning, which is that the learner retains more when what is being taught is in direct correlation with their life, their work, what's going on at the moment socially. And fifth is motivation to learn. The adult learner has internal motivation as opposed to external motivation of, say, a child learner. This slide, it is important to keep in mind the principles to help aid best practices to develop successful professional developments. These would include involvement in planning. Every experience provides a basis for learning new things. Immediate relevance to the workplace is important, as discussed in the last slide. And adult learners focus on the problem at hand, not the content that is being learned, as opposed to a child learner. It will be more content-based. Adult learners require very different teaching methods than children, which is not how many professional developments are designed today. Adult learners can bring so much into the professional development if we allow their job experiences, their schooling, the age or how long they've been in education or teaching or in administration, and goals to be a part of the presentation. It allows for the adult learners to not only learn from the information being presented, but also from one another. This can lead itself to problems experienced in the workplace being worked out in a team environment, which leads to better relationships within the institution, between teachers and administration, and stakeholders involved in that institution. Next are best practices. When it comes to best practices, some things to consider are how to work with the adult learners, what role the learners play within their institution, like their teachers, how to facilitate change for these adults, and how to teach so that the learners can utilize what is being taught to them during the professional training within their classrooms or work setting. A best practice to support adult learners would be providing them with new models of teaching or working that are worth the time and effort to put to practice. So things they're interested in, some things they think might help their best practices. This is imperative because not only are adults set in their ways, but they do not want to put forth effort into something they do not agree with or that does not apply in their classroom. Doing this would mean getting to know the community and the school in which you're serving more personally. Another best practice would be providing support to the educators both during the training and also after the training, so there's a chance for feedback and better implementation in their own personal classrooms or in their own personal workspace. Lastly, facilitating collaboration between colleagues during the training can encourage the adult learner to support one another once the training is over, which is very important. In the training, this can look like a small group activity or turn-in talk so that the learners are engaging with one another and they're getting comfortable with one another and they're learning and things are clicking as a team. Next, I wanted to go over bias, which can be a roadblock when it comes to successful PD. Bias can come from both the presenter and or the audience. One great strategy to alleviate this is to not make assumptions and to just know your audience, which I have said multiple times now throughout the presentation. Culturally speaking, avoiding slang, jargon, being cautious when using metaphors, and being aware of body language like posture, eye contact, which can vary from culture to culture. Another one is gender bias. Can be mediated by understanding that having both sexes involved can drive positive outcomes, because it tends to be that education is mostly female. A statistic I have found is 76% of educators are female. I think it's important for men and women to remain open to different perspectives. Both male and female experiences can hold space in the professional development, although I think there is bias in what is considered normal behaviors or experiences for a man versus a woman. I have my own biases that I'm working through. Regardless, it is important to notice them. It is also important to note that it is imperative to understand that everyone's experiences, no matter if they are typical male or female or culturally speaking, that they are important and that they do hold space in the professional training. Thank you guys so much for listening to my presentation. I hope you have a new little nugget of knowledge to carry with you as you start to create your own professional developments, utilizing the principles that you have learned about adults and their learning. Thank you for joining me here today.